Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV and welcome back to another episode of the Chelsea Fan TV podcast. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the likes on the video, subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV if you haven't done so already, and leave your thoughts in the comments below about any of the topics covered in today's episode. And I don't know what's going on at Chelsea right now, but we've won 2 games in a row. We've scored 2 goals in a game for the first time since December 27th against Bournemouth. We're unbeaten this month. Maybe we're back. Who knows? But it was a special night under the lights at Stamford Bridge. These Champions League nights seem to bring something extra out of the guys. We've seen performance levels from players last night that we hadn't seen all season, really. I don't know what's going on, but we take it. And maybe it could be a turning point. You know, yes, we've got to take it one step at a time. We have only won 2 games. But, you know, that big win under the lights lifts the mood a little bit, gets a bit of the feel-good factor around the club. But Lewis, what do you think's going on, mate? We've won 2 games. We've scored 3 goals in the last couple of games. We haven't let any goals in. Even, and we're unbeaten this month. What's going on?
We finally got back to what we know best, and that's the back 5. This has been a long-ass 360 this season, but I'm glad we finally got there because we look a lot more defensively solid now. We're keeping clean sheets. We're finding goals in places. Like, it is jammy as hell with our goals. One from a corner, one from a missed kick, and then a re-hit shot, and then a retaken penalty. But, hey, we don't get a lot of luck this season. So I'm not going to sit here and judge the goals that we score. That is, more goals than we've scored since the World Cup, I think. No, since the turn of the year. So I will not complain. I will be the last person to complain after that. I'm just glad we're finally winning games again. Hell, we might even potentially have another European away on the cards. Small positives, because that's all we get this season. But yeah, it's good to see us finally start winning.
It is, mate. And like, you know, I'm not saying we're going to win the Champions League by any stretch of the imagination or getting carried away, but there's something about Chelsea doing shit in the league and then doing well in Europe in the same season. I mean, you never say never, but whenever we're not fancied to do well, we tend to do well. And when we're actually doing well in the league, we don't tend to do so well in the Champions League. So let's kind of wait and see what happens. But just on that back 3, obviously, you know, Potter used it at Brighton. We know that, you know, that's the formation he likes to use. Obviously, this group of players are used to that system, having used it under Thomas Tuchel. Are you surprised that we got rid of it for so long? Because we used it in Potter's first 9-10 games in charge. We got hammered at Brighton, and then we never saw it again until Leeds at the weekend. I mean, why do you think we abandoned it?
I don't know. I think it was just a rash decision off the 4-1 loss. But it never really made sense to me because I always said our creativity came from the wing back, so I don't get why we pushed them further back. It took a while for us to get back to what we already knew. I think we're very stubborn with the back 4. But better late than never, I guess. Just don't move from it now because we can clearly see the impact there as we see how much better we are now we do it. No more changes. Just stick to the back 5.
Yeah, mate, simple as that. I mean, like, for me, it's just like, it's a no-brainer, really. You know, we look, as you say, we got more defensive stability. Yes, we were keeping clean sheets in a 4, but we look a lot more solid at the back. It gets the best out of Reece James and Ben Chilwell. There's no surprise that Chilwell's best 2 games in ages have been the last 2, and they've both come playing in a back 5 as a wing back. That's not a coincidence for me. That gets the best out of him. It's what he's comfortable with, and it suits his game. It suits his game perfectly. But in terms
of how much better he is going forward since we've gone back to that formation as well.
Exactly. It looks like we've got a different player. It really does. And, you know, whilst the long-term plan might not be to use the back 5, you know, we want to sign a proper defensive midfield player, maybe go with that 3 because of the abundance of 8s we've got in the squads. But for the short-term goals and for the short-term results for the rest of the season, this represents our best chance of getting results is by using this back 3 system or back 5 system for the rest of the season. But in terms of last night, mate, I mean, I was pretty happy with the team, but fair play to him. It was a big call from Potter to use Cucurella on the left side of a 3. I thought Chalobah probably would have got the nod with Thiago Silva out. And, you know, having not been in the last 3 matchday squads, had a difficult start to his Chelsea career, it was a big call from Potter to stick him in. Cucurella had his best game. And credit where credit is due. He was outstanding.
Yeah, Cucurella at left centre-back, I think that might be the way forward because it stops him needing to go forward as much. He focuses more on defensive positioning and building up play from deep. And in both of those aspects, he's excellent. Didn't put a foot wrong yesterday. Always in the right position. Some of the line-breaking passes were unbelievable from him. Didn't put a foot wrong. Deserved that man of the match. And credit to Graham Potter as well for the man management of him. Took him out of the squad for a couple games when he was being scapegoated. Let people forget about him a little bit. Bring him back into the lineup. And in such a big game as well. And he just shone. Absolutely shone. It was amazing watching that performance from him. And I think he needs to start the next game at left centre-back too, personally. You got to let him build on a performance like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, do you think this could be the kickstart his Chelsea career needs and like what he can build on? Because, the first few games he was here under Tuchel, he wasn't too bad. And then for whatever reason, things just went really bad. Obviously, he's had a few issues off the field that people probably don't really take into account, but it's not gone that well for him. But you kind of hope that this could be the turning point for him and he kind of kicks on and really starts his Chelsea career like from this point forward. I mean, do you think last night could be the catalyst he needs to kick into action and start looking like the player we paid that money for?
Potentially, but it's still going to be a long season with its ups and downs. I'm trying to look at these players as individuals right now. See how you perform as an individual, see what you do well at and what you improve at. He just needs to be braver in possession, because the biggest issue with Cucurella was that he was passing backwards way too much, to a point where people were changing the name of the Cucurella chant to pass back to Kepa, because literally all that he was doing. Now, brilliant passes forward, very important in our build-up play as well, allows Chilwell the license to roam, allows us to be a lot quicker in transition as well, because the quality of passing from him as well was excellent. He just needs to be a bit more of that risk taker, because before that he was way too safe for what we needed for someone in that position.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think it helps him as well having a couple of extra centre-backs around him, just in terms of if he does make a mistake defensively, then it doesn't matter. It's not as costly in a 3 as it is in a back 2. But let's hope he can push on, because he's a good player. There's a reason why Man City and Pep wanted him, because there is ability there. We just need to see it on a more regular basis. But I mean, in terms of the game itself, what impressed you the most? Because for me, watching it at home, like it started off as kind of like predictable Chelsea, decent first 10, 15 minutes. Then we kind of regressed a little bit, allowed Dortmund to come into the game. They had a lot of the ball. And then we got some luck that has been missing for a lot of the last few games, the past months. Sort of the Havertz goal that was chalked off because Sterling was just offside. João Felix missing opportunities. Koulibaly somehow getting in the way of his own shot. I don't know what was going on with that one.
I need to rewatch that one back. I missed
that was mad. It was. I don't know how he managed it, but you kind of got the feeling that perhaps it wasn't going to be our night again. But I guess that luck you talk about with Sterling, who in typical Chelsea fashion with finishing completely misses the ball, gets a little bit lucky with that rebound. It falls him again and he puts it into the back of the net. And that goal just before half time was, I guess that was crucial, because going into the second half knowing you need 2 is kind of a different game.
Mm-hmm. And for Dortmund, it means they can try and sit back a little bit more and just hold it. It was big to get that goal, like you said, especially at the time that it did, because it was big for us too, but it also kind of shook Dortmund a little bit as well. And yeah, it was just necessary to just get the first goal early, because if Dortmund score, now we need 3 goals. Suddenly everything becomes a lot harder for us. Defensively, I was never worried. We did our job. It was just about where the goals were coming from. I could never answer that. And in typical fashion, it was just jammy as hell. But we'll take it. We will take it.
Mate, I think that's the only way we're going to score, just by getting a slice of luck. Because let's be honest, 2 big slices of luck in terms of, the ball falling back to Sterling, and then obviously Havertz getting a retake on the penalty. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it back, but do you think it was harsh to have on Dortmund to get the penalty retaken? There was a little bit of encroaching in the box, but I don't know. Maybe they feel a little bit hard done by. Do you think that's a fair decision for us to get the retake on that one?
I didn't even watch it back. I'll be real with you.
Yeah.
I will just take whatever we can get at this point. Like, if it was unfair on Dortmund, hold that. Sometimes life is unfair. Sometimes football is unfair. We have definitely been on the wrong side of the fair side of justice. It happens.
Hold that. No, it does. I think it's simple as that. You've got to take your luck when you can get it. And as you said, we haven't had much over the past few months. So yeah, we've got to enjoy those moments when we can. In terms of individuals that do deserve some praise, and it's most of the guys that have come in for a lot of criticism this season. We've covered Cucurella, but I actually thought Koulibaly was very, very good last night. He's had a difficult start to his career. And again, he looks like another player that's come back to life in that back three system. He seems to thrive off it, and he seems to have stepped into that Thiago Silva role in the middle of the three, and he seems to be thriving on that responsibility. And now we're starting to see the level of performances that we expect from him. I mean, he's starting to turn things around now.
Yeah, he looked brilliant. Did well with Haller in the air, which was no easy task. Positionally, very aware. Timing, excellent. Everything you could ask of him. And the rest of the back three, to be honest, was brilliant. But yeah, I think Koulibaly's a lot better when you play him centrally as opposed to pushing him out wide like we had been doing in the first half of the season. I'm glad to see. He looks like he's improving. I want him to keep building on it because I said all season I thought Koulibaly just needed a bit of time to adapt. My only thing was he was falling down the pecking order very quickly when Badiashile came in. Because suddenly you go from second choice to fifth choice, just like that. Or even third choice at that point. But it's a good couple games from him. He's now at a point where he shouldn't be getting dropped from the lineup. I wouldn't change anything in that back five, personally. They've all been excellent.
Just Badiashile to come in for Cucurella, probably.
Nah, not even. Like, he's just one man of the match against Dortmund. You can't bench him after something like that. You can't. It would just drain his confidence. To me, I don't even think Badiashile should look at it in a bad way anyway. They're all going to be here for the long term anyway. But yeah, after a performance like that from Cucurella, it sends the wrong message if you drop him straight after that.
Yeah, no, it would be difficult. And another guy that's come in for a lot of criticism this season from myself, a lot of Chelsea fans because he's so frustrating. Kai Havertz. Who was that last night? Was that his twin or something? Because where's that guy been this season? Well, I've never seen that. I haven't seen that in his Chelsea career at all. I honestly think. I can't remember many of them, probably because they're not memorable. But a Kai Havertz performance that good in a Chelsea shirt in terms of overall all-round game for 90 minutes. Mate, this was his best game in his Chelsea career for me. Like,
let's say best since the final.
Yeah.
Best since the final. Because the final, he at least had a 10 out of 10 performance there too. He just got robbed of 3 assists by Timo Werner. Typical. But yeah, I don't know who that guy was. That's not the Kai Havertz I've watched all season. And fair play to him because he's finally woken up. But you see, I've been saying it on all my streams today as well. Here is the standard now. Here is what I have been asking for all season. I've been asking for someone to be a lot more aware, make the right decisions, actually hold up the ball well, link up well, drive the ball into the right spaces. He did all of that to perfection. He was unbelievable yesterday. Carried our attack on his back, and fair play to him. But the thing with Havertz has always been motivation, because he is that sort of player who turns up for the occasion, like EFL Cup final, the Champions League final.
Club World Cup.
Yeah, the Club World Cup, even that I would say was just a penalty. But hey, we'll still take it for what it is. Like games like Real Madrid at home in the first leg last season. He turns up for the big occasion, but we don't always play in the big occasion. You'll have your games like Leeds. You'll have your games like Crystal Palace. You'll have games like 90% of the games we played this season. He doesn't turn up. This is my thing. He was unbelievable today. I need to see this again and again and again and again because that is the sort of player that we sign. That is the sort of player that we have been waiting for, and we just don't see it enough. We just don't. Like, if he was to perform like that at least half of the season, nobody would slander him. No one would criticize him. He would be the generational talent that we all talk about him being. The problem is, the biggest thing about being world-class, about being generational, about being anything like that is one word, and it's consistency. That is the biggest enemy.
This is the problem because we know what Kai Havertz can do because we've seen it. We saw it last night. That is the stand, as you say, that is the standard now that we expect. I'm not saying you're going to perform like that every week, but we know you can do it because we've just seen you do it and put in a top-class performance. But we haven't seen that once in the Premier League. Like, it's not been there in the Premier League in his whole time that he's been at Chelsea. So now the key is, can he actually replicate that on a let's start with a semi-regular basis to begin with. But let's take it at small steps. But can he follow up those performances? You look ahead to Saturday at Leicester, and if he starts, which he probably will, like, evidence would suggest he's probably going to be shit. And that gap needs to be bridged. You can't just turn up when everyone's watching in the big games in the Champions League. Those games aren't that often. There's a handful of games a season. You're judged on what you do you're judged on what you do week in, week out in the Premier League. And he's not done that. So whilst he was outstanding last night, let's not allow that to cloud the bigger picture in terms of this guy's got to turn up on a consistent basis and deliver performances like that. Because if he delivers performances like that, then we've got a really good player on our hands and he can be a massive plus to this squad. But, I just haven't got, I'd love to be proven wrong, but I've not got faith in him that we can see things like that on a regular basis. So do you think there's a big decision to make in the summer? Because Havertz generally tends to do this. Like, you get towards the end of a season, talks about his future, puts in a few good performances, and then we're like, I'll give him another chance. I don't think we can keep going rinse and repeat on that cycle.
That is exactly my thing with him, and just going to judge it over the next few games. That Dortmund game is more than enough for me to say start him against Leicester, even though my word don't mean anything, and he's going to get a full 90 regardless, because we know what Potter's like. But do it again. That's just my thing, because I can't say anything more than that, because I don't want to be too critical, because we've just seen his best performance this season by an absolute mile. We're also in probably the highest point that we have felt under Graham Potter, just qualified against Dortmund and everything. Just please replicate those performances, because we don't see it enough. Like, we'll see Havertz have half of that performance and then play crap for the next 5 games, not even reach the level that we've seen this. This Dortmund game is the best I have seen since Porto 2021. I haven't seen him play at that level since then. But if you're going to ask me if I think he can replicate that over the next 5 games, no, or maybe, because we all know about second half of the season Havertz too. He always has a little purple patch where there's
it's about this time as well, isn't it? About March, April time.
March.
Yeah.
And again, I can't be tricked. I need to see this again and again and again, and it's not just through March. I need to see this until the end of the season as a minimum. You keep this consistent level, and I don't mean like carry the team on your back, because we're still a bit of a mess. I'm talking about individually. Retain possession better, hold up play consistently, link up play consistently, finish your chances when you get the opportunities, and brilliant. We might have a player back on our hands, but if it's a 1 game in 15 sort of thing, sell while he's raising his transfer value. But at the very least, we're going to have a few more good performances to enjoy.
Well,
it's all in his court, because the problem, his biggest enemy is himself.
Yeah,
it always has been.
No, I agree. The ability's there. It's just, I'm not sure the mentality's there. But let's hope we can see a few more decent performances from him between now and the end of the season. Mate, in terms of Graham Potter then, obviously, under no illusions that 1 win against Leeds doesn't suddenly relieve the pressure. How big do you think this is for him in terms of his time in charge of Chelsea? Obviously, it's not out the woods yet, and, it's a couple of wins. But you almost feel like this could be a massive turning point for him personally. You saw him looking a lot more animated on the touchline, looking the most emotional I've ever seen him at full time. Fist pump in the air, letting that emotion out, which we haven't really seen from him at all during our time here. Do you think this could be big for him as well?
Yes, but he does have to build on it too. Because even David Moyes had that comeback against Olympiacos in 2014, I think it was, the Van Persie hat-trick. Like, it's great for the mood. It's great to build up confidence. The celebrations at the end as well. It's good to build like a little bit of a rapport with fans and everything. But it's that big word again, consistency. Keep this run going. Keep the back 5. Get a goal. Hold it for everything that's worth. I don't care if it's the most negative pussy brand of football going. We don't rate this squad anyway. Like,
we need results. That's it.
Exactly. Results. Results. Give me my 40 points. Maybe we can look towards Europe from then, because we could make a push for top 7. We could. If you really want to be in
Conference
the
League, we're
Conference
coming.
League, if you really want it, like, it's there. I do think you can go for that. But, like, the main thing is just results on a game-by-game basis. Like we've said on so many episodes of this podcast, winnable run of games. We are still in that period. We have
It's coming to
Leicester
an end
coming
pretty
up.
soon, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but we got Leicester coming up. We've got
Everton,
then we've got Aston Villa, and then we have Liverpool.
We've got Wolves as well
and
at the end of that run, yeah.
It gets a bit trickier towards the end, but they are all games that a team good enough can go and win. So it's just about showing it. You got to keep instilling that confidence in the fans, because I don't think we've even seen a run of 3 wins in a row.
No, we haven't.
Right, so
and this
it's up to Potter to get us to that level.
And this is the thing, it's great winning a couple of games, and it's lifted the mood around the place for sure. But we've got to put, as you said, we've got to put a run of games together, 3, 4, 5, 6s, in terms of just getting that consistency in the team, and picking up those results. As we've said on previous episodes, that run-in's tough. We've still got to go to Arsenal, we've got to go to United, we've got to go to City. We hope we've got Newcastle at home as well. We've got Brighton at home, who are in decent form, doing well. I think Brentford has still got to come to Stamford Bridge. We've got some tricky games coming up against sides that you'd expect us to win, but that run-in's really tough. So we've got to pick up as many points as we can now, whilst this winnable run of games is going on. But mate, in terms of the atmosphere at Stamford Bridge last night, obviously we go quite a lot, and to say that the atmosphere at the bridge at the normally isn't the best is probably a bit of an understatement. But last night, pretty special. Everyone stepped up.
Yeah, amazing atmosphere. I don't know if it was partly to do with that setup that they had, where they had fans outside the shed for when the coaches came in, but it was just brilliant. Everybody turned up. Everyone understood the importance for their game. I feel like they were all excited as a result of it. And the players also did a lot in terms of their performance to keep the atmosphere going. Because I always said, like, if we played better, the atmosphere would be better. It is just as simple as that. And we saw another example of that. But brilliant atmosphere from the fans. And I hope they bring it to the next Champions League game. I'd say the next league game, but Dyche ball at the bridge. I don't expect anything too loud.
That's last one before the international break, that one, because then we've got a couple of weeks off. But I mean, let's throw it forward. Leicester this weekend. Leicester can be quite a tricky place to go to, but they're struggling big time this season. Brendan Rodgers must be verging on the sack. He was earlier in the season, then they went on a run and he turned it round. They're now on another really poor run. I think they're only a couple points outside the relegation zone, but there's no easy away games in the league. We won 3-0 there last season, probably one of our best performances. How are you feeling heading into this one? Because, as I said, it is a tricky place to go, despite them really struggling at the moment.
Should go and get a win there, but easier said than done, knowing us. I'd like to see us build on this performance, but I don't know what Chelsea turns up. But it is winnable. It is winnable. I think, like, they could be a bit of a danger on transition sometimes, but we can still break them down. We got the quality to be able to do that. It's just about whether we finish our chances. Same thing as every other game. Do we finish the chances that we make, yes or no? That's going to be the answer for us. We can keep a clean sheet. I don't think we'll lose there. Will we win? Depends on our chances.
Yeah, no, it is as simple as that, really. But I mean, I think a lot will depend as well on whether Maddison's fit or not, because I mean, he's a top player. Everything goes through him. If he's playing for Leicester, they got some other decent players. Like Harvey Barnes is quite dangerous. I mean, Vardy's kind of finished now, really. But yeah, they've got some half decent players. We'll have to be careful. But I think you look at the quality in our team, and we will create chances. And as you said, it just depends on whether we've got our shooting boots on or not. Which this season, more often than not, we haven't. I want to talk about a player who, for some reason, has been unused for the last couple of games, and only got 10 minutes at Spurs. Hey, what do you think's happened to Mudryk at the moment? I mean, I don't think we need to read too much into it, because Cucurella got left out of the squad for 3 games. He's brought back in. Maybe it's part of the bigger picture, and there's some sort of reasoning behind it. But have you found it strange at Mudryk's lack of minutes over the last 3 games? And do you expect him to start on the weekend?
Not really. I wouldn't change anything from that lineup personally. Yeah, I think with Mudryk, it's just a case of patience with him. I think people are rushing with him because I don't know, it's a price tag, I guess, or they're just waiting to see a little bit more from him. But like Mudryk's been fine personally. I don't really want us to rush him. Let us take our time with him. He's young. He's coming from the Ukrainian league. He's a long-term project for us. Let him be that. We don't need to rush him into the team that quickly. So, yeah, I don't mind. Probably, maybe you see him off the bench, maybe not. I don't know, but I don't really think there's been an issue with Mudryk. I just think we've gone for more experienced options. Like, Sterling's been good the last few games.
It's been really
a bit
good,
frustrating against Dortmund, but like he's been really good on the left the last 2 games before that. So I see why Mudryk isn't making it into the team. Sterling's just been better.
Would you make any changes from the Dortmund game for Saturday against Leicester, or are you quite happy to just roll with the same 11 again?
Keep the same 11. Genuinely, I wouldn't change a thing. I think they were all brilliant as a team. Midfield, we did struggle with the press, like we said earlier, but with the defensive solidity, that's not an issue. It's just something I think we can cope with. Yeah, I wouldn't change a thing. Genuinely wouldn't change a thing from first man to last.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, there's no point changing something that's clearly working. I mean, I'd be shocked if we reverted away from the back 3 system. I don't think there's any chance of that happening. I mean, it feels weird saying there won't be any changes because, you know, we're so used to seeing every week a different, like, multiple changes to the lineup, which I don't think's really helped us. Some of it's been circumstantial. Others have just been because we're not picking results up and we're just trying to do anything to see if we can get those results. But yeah, I mean, I personally, I don't think I'd make any changes either. You know, there's, as you said, there's not really any need. The guys are high on confidence. They'll be keen to go again. So yeah, I don't really think any changes are necessary. But having said that, I probably think the reality of the situation is there probably will be some changes, but let's kind of see what happens with that one. But it's going to be a massive game because, you know, we can get 3 wins in a row, and then we're taking it game by game, and then, you know, you can start to build a bit of momentum, a little bit of confidence. And heading into that international break, where we've got a couple weeks off. I mean, Lewis, score predictions for Saturday at Leicester. We seem to be scoring a few goals now, but like however lucky some of them might be. How many are we getting on Saturday?
1.
Yeah.
1. I don't know. Something jammy. I don't know. But let's say 1-0 Chelsea, because I still don't think we score a lot of goals.
No, to be honest, I don't either. We are creating some chances, but again, like, you know, as in a Dortmund game, you know, the finishing was terrible. Like it really was. We just got lucky, which is fine, because sometimes you need that luck, and we deserve that luck from what we've been through. But when you kind of like look back at it, it's like, shit, we were lucky. We did miss a lot of opportunities, and we can't keep doing that, because, you know, you can't miss the level of chances that we miss and expect to pick up results in matches. It just isn't going to happen. So
no.
Something's got to change. Let's hope, you know, the confidence is high, and maybe that makes a difference heading into the game. But it's going to be a tough one. But no, I'm looking forward to it. You've gone 1-0. I'll go 2-0 just to keep the goal scoring run going. I don't think we'll concede. I don't think Leicester have got much of a threat if Maddison doesn't play. He's missed the last few games. So let's see what happens. Let's hope we can make it 3 wins on the spin and build up some more momentum and get ourselves up the table and try and push into those European places for next season. But yeah, guys, seems like a good place to round out. Thanks for tuning into this episode. Make sure you smash the likes on the video, subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. And we'll be back again soon with another episode.